After 4 years of serving her country in the desert heat, Naomi Carter finally came home. But the reunion she'd dreamed of 1,000 times became her worst nightmare in seconds. Standing on her own doorstep in full uniform, she watched her husband look through her like she was a stranger, then heard the guests inside laugh as he called her an intruder. The humiliation cut deeper than any combat wound, but what she didn't know yet was far worse. Her own children had been told she chose to stay away, that she abandoned them by choice. Now, with nowhere to go and a family that doesn't recognize her, Naomi must decide. Does she fight to reclaim what's hers, or does she walk away from the people she sacrificed everything for? What happens next will test every ounce of strength she built overseas, because the hardest battle isn't surviving war. It's surviving the moment you realize home isn't home anymore. If you're watching this, subscribe and tell me where you're from, because this story is just beginning. The bus smelled like old vinyl and stale coffee. Naomi Carter pressed her forehead against the window, watching familiar streets roll past. 4 years. 4 years since she'd walked these sidewalks, since she'd seen the oak tree on Maple Street that the neighborhood kids loved to climb. Her uniform felt stiff against her shoulders. The duffel bag at her feet held everything she owned that mattered. Photos, letters from the kids, a worn copy of a book Malik had loved when he was 7. She'd read it so many times overseas that the spine had cracked clean through. The bus hissed to a stop 3 blocks from her house. Naomi stood, shouldered the duffel, and stepped down onto the curb. The late afternoon sun painted everything gold. A dog barked somewhere. A sprinkler ticked rhythmically in someone's yard. She could have called. She should have called. But she'd wanted this moment. Walking up to her own front door, seeing her kids' faces light up, feeling Ethan's arms around her. She'd dreamed about it 1,000 times in the desert heat, in the cold of early mornings when sleep wouldn't come. Her boots hit the pavement in a steady rhythm. Left, right, muscle memory. She'd walked thousands of miles in these boots. Now she was walking home. The neighborhood looked different. Mrs. Patterson's house had new shutters, pale blue instead of white. The Rodriguez family had planted a garden where their lawn used to be. Small changes, the kind you miss when you're gone too long. Naomi turned onto her street. Her heart picked up speed. There was her house, the same brick front. The same black mailbox Ethan had installed crooked because he'd insisted he didn't need a level. She'd teased him about it. He'd kissed her and told her to mind her own business. She smiled at the memory. Then she noticed the cars. 3 of them lined the curb in front of her house. She didn't recognize any of them. Through the front windows, she could see movement, hear voices, laughter. Naomi slowed. A party? She checked her phone. No, it wasn't anybody's birthday. Maybe Ethan had friends over. Maybe the kids were having play dates. She walked up the driveway, past a sedan with a soccer mom bumper sticker. The front door stood slightly open. More laughter drifted out, women's voices mostly, and Ethan's deeper tone underneath. Her hand shook slightly as she raised it to knock. She'd faced down situations that would make most people freeze. She'd made decisions in seconds that meant life or death. But standing here, about to see her family, her pulse hammered in her throat. She knocked. 3 solid raps. The laughter inside stuttered to a stop. Footsteps approached. The door swung wider. Ethan stood there in jeans and a polo shirt she'd never seen before. His hair was shorter than she remembered. He'd grown a beard, neat, trimmed close. He looked good, healthy. He looked at her like she was a stranger. "Can I help you?" His tone was polite, but impatient. Behind him, a woman peered around the corner, curious. Naomi's mouth went dry. "Ethan." He squinted at her, then glanced back at his guests. "I think you have the wrong house." The words didn't make sense. She was standing right in front of him, in uniform. Her name was stitched right there on her chest. Carter. "Ethan, it's me." Her voice came out quieter than she wanted. "It's Naomi." Someone inside laughed. a short, uncertain sound. "Is that a solicitor?" a woman called. Ethan turned his head slightly. "Just someone confused about the address." He started to close the door. "Sorry, we're in the middle of something." "Wait." Naomi put her hand on the door, not pushing, just touching. "Ethan, stop. Look at me." He did. For 1 second, then 2. His eyes moved from her face down to her uniform, to the duffel bag at her feet, back up to her face. The color drained from his cheeks. Behind him, one of the guests appeared, a blonde woman holding a wine glass. "Everything okay?" "Fine," Ethan said quickly, too quickly. Another voice, male this time. "Who is it, man?" "Nobody," Ethan said. His hand tightened on the doorknob. "Just give me a second." But the man was already coming to look. He was tall, wearing a football jersey. He looked at Naomi, then at Ethan, then back at Naomi. His eyebrows went up. "Wait, is that... It's fine." Ethan's voice had an edge now, sharp, almost angry. The blonde woman leaned in closer, squinting. Then her eyes went wide. "Oh my God, is that your wife?" Silence dropped like a stone. Naomi stood very still. She'd learned how to do that, how to lock every muscle, control every breath, how to look calm when everything inside was screaming. Ethan finally met her eyes. Really met them. Something flickered across his face. Not joy, not relief, something closer to panic. "Naomi?" He said her name like he wasn't sure it was real. "What are you doing here?" The question punched through her chest. What was she doing here? Here. At her own house. The house she'd sent money to every month. The house where her children slept. "I came home." The words felt too small. "I got my orders 2 weeks ago. I wanted to surprise everyone." The blonde woman made a small sound. The tall man shifted his weight, suddenly fascinated with his shoes. Ethan just stared. "You didn't call?" "I wanted it to be a surprise." She tried to smile. Her face felt frozen. "Surprise?" Nobody laughed. From somewhere deeper in the house, a child's voice rang out, high and excited. "Dad, can we have more chips?" Jada. Naomi's heart clenched. Her baby. Her middle child who loved drawing and hated broccoli, and used to beg for bedtime stories even when she was too old for them. "Jada's here," she whispered. Ethan stepped into the doorway, blocking her view. "Naomi, this isn't... We weren't expecting you." "I can see that." Her voice came out steadier than she felt. "Can I come in?" He hesitated. Actually hesitated. Behind him, the guests exchanged glances. Someone coughed. "We have people over," Ethan said finally. "Maybe this isn't the best time." The words landed like blows, each one precise, each one deliberate. "This isn't the best time," she repeated slowly. "To see my own children. That's not what I meant." But his voice said something different. His voice said, "Go away, this is inconvenient, you weren't supposed to be here." Another voice joined in, higher, younger. "Who's at the door?" "Malik." Naomi couldn't help it. She leaned to the side, trying to see past Ethan. Malik stood in the hallway, taller than she remembered. His face had lost some of its roundness. He was growing up without her. "Nobody," Ethan said quickly. "Just go back to the living room, bud." But Malik was already moving closer, curious. His eyes landed on Naomi, on her uniform, on her face. He stopped walking. "Malik," she breathed. "Hey, baby." He didn't move, didn't speak, just stared at her like she was a ghost. Behind him, smaller footsteps. Jada appeared. Then froze, too. Her hair was in braids. Someone had braided her hair. Naomi used to braid her hair every Sunday night while they watched cooking shows. "Hi, sweetheart," Naomi tried. Her voice cracked. "It's Mommy." Jada's mouth opened, closed. She looked up at Malik, confused. Another child pushed between them, small, determined. Caleb. 5 years old now, though the last time she'd held him, he'd barely been 2. He clutched a toy truck in one hand. He tilted his head, studying her with those serious eyes he'd had since birth. "Are you the soldier lady?" The words cut deeper than any she'd heard overseas. "Caleb, I'm—" She had to stop, swallow. "I'm your mom." He blinked. "My mom's deployed." Past tense. Deployed. Like it was still happening. Like she was still gone. Naomi looked at Ethan. He wouldn't meet her eyes. "What did you tell them?" Her voice was low. Careful. "Can we not do this now?" He glanced back at his guests. "Please." "What did you tell our children?" The blonde woman set down her wine glass. "We should probably go." "No." Ethan held up a hand. "No, just give me a minute." He finally stepped outside. Pulling the door mostly closed behind him, the sounds from inside became muffled, distant. They stood on the porch together, husband and wife, separated by 4 years and 3 feet of space that felt like an ocean. "You can't just show up like this," Ethan said quietly. "I live here." "You haven't lived here in 4 years." The words came out bitter, angry. "You haven't called in 6 months. The kids started thinking." He stopped, shook his head. "Thinking what?" "That you weren't coming back." The world tilted slightly. "I was deployed, Ethan. I didn't have a choice." "There's always a choice." His jaw tightened. "You could have gotten out. You could have come home." She'd heard this argument before she left, during her first year away. Every time they'd talked on those crackling video calls where the connection dropped every 5 minutes. "We needed the money," she said evenly. "We needed the benefits. We needed you." He said it like an accusation, like she'd committed a crime. Behind the door, someone laughed. The sound was jarring, too light, too careless. Like the world inside that house was normal. Like everything was fine. "I want to see my kids," Naomi said. "They're confused right now. I'm their mother. You're a stranger in a uniform." His voice dropped. "Caleb doesn't even remember you, Naomi. Jada barely talks about you anymore. Malik—" He stopped again, running a hand over his beard. "Malik thinks you chose deployment over us." The words hit like bullets, clean through. "I didn't—" She couldn't finish. Her throat closed up. "I know what you're going to say." Ethan's voice was tired now. Not angry anymore. Just tired. "I know you had reasons. I know it was hard, but you weren't here. I was. I was the one who got them up for school. I was the one who sat with Jada when she cried because the other kids had moms at the PTA meetings. I was the one who explained to Caleb why his mommy wasn't at his birthday party." Each sentence was a weight. Each one pressed down on her chest until she couldn't breathe. "So what are you saying?" she managed. "That I'm not welcome here?" Ethan looked away, at the street, at the neighbor's house, anywhere but at her. "I'm saying," he said slowly, "that you should have called first. I wanted to surprise my family." "Well," he let out a short laugh, no humor in it. "Surprise." The door opened behind him. The tall man leaned out. "Hey, man, we're gonna head out. Give you some space." "You don't have to," Ethan said quickly. "Yeah, we do." The man looked at Naomi, then back at Ethan. "Call me later." The guests filed out one by one. The blonde woman. An older couple Naomi didn't know. A younger guy in a college sweatshirt. They all avoided her eyes, mumbling polite goodbyes that meant nothing. When they were gone, the porch felt huge and empty. "Can I come in now?" Naomi asked. Ethan rubbed his face. "The kids are pretty wound up. Maybe you should come back tomorrow, when everyone's had time to process." "Process." She repeated the word. It sounded clinical, cold. "My children need to process that their mother came home. Your children need to understand that you're actually staying this time." "I am staying." She took a step forward. "I'm home, Ethan. For good." He finally looked at her. Really looked. And what she saw in his eyes made everything worse. He didn't believe her. "Tomorrow," he said again. "Come back tomorrow. I'll talk to them tonight. Prepare them." "Prepare them for what? For me?" He didn't answer, just opened the door and stepped inside. "Ethan, tomorrow, Naomi." He closed the door. She heard the lock click. She stood there on her own porch, duffel bag at her feet, uniform still on. Inside, she could hear voices. Ethan talking low and fast. The kids asking questions she couldn't make out. The sun was setting. Long shadows stretched across the lawn. A car drove past, its headlights sweeping over her. Naomi picked up her bag. Her hands were shaking now, the control finally cracking. She walked down the driveway, down the sidewalk, not sure where she was going. Just away. "Naomi?" She turned. Mrs. Brooks stood on the porch next door, a gardening trowel in one hand. She was older than Naomi remembered, more gray in her hair, deeper lines around her eyes, but her expression was the same. Warm, kind. "Mrs. Brooks." The name came out rough. Naomi cleared her throat. "Hi." The older woman set down the trowel and came down her steps, moving slowly but purposefully. When she reached Naomi, she didn't ask questions. Didn't say "I'm sorry," or that must have been hard. She just said, "You look like you need a place to sit down." Naomi's eyes burned. She blinked hard. "I don't want to be a burden. Honey." Mrs. Brooks touched her arm gently. "The only burden is pretending everything's fine when it's not. Come on, I just made tea." The house smelled like lemon and old wood. Mrs. Brooks led her to a kitchen table covered in a flowered tablecloth. Naomi sat. The chair creaked under her. "Milk? Sugar?" Mrs. Brooks asked. "Black is fine." The tea was hot and strong. Naomi wrapped both hands around the mug, letting the heat ground her. "I saw your husband's party," Mrs. Brooks said carefully. She sat across from Naomi, her own mug steaming. Seemed like he had quite a few people over. "He didn't know I was coming." Naomi stared into her tea. "I wanted to surprise them." Mrs. Brooks sipped her tea. "And how did that go?" Naomi let out a breath that might have been a laugh. "My youngest asked if I was the soldier lady." The older woman's face tightened with sympathy. "Oh, sweetheart. He doesn't remember me." Naomi's voice was flat now, empty. "My son doesn't remember me." "He was very young when you left." "I know." She did know. She'd known it would be hard. She just hadn't known it would be this hard. "But I thought they'd be happy to see me. I thought Ethan would—" She stopped, shook her head. Mrs. Brooks was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "I watched him, you know, these past few years. Watched him struggle, watched him figure things out. He did a good job." Naomi meant it. Whatever else was happening, her children looked healthy, fed, loved. "He did," Mrs. Brooks agreed. "But he also—" She paused, choosing words carefully. "He told people you extended your deployment, that you chose to stay away." The words dropped into Naomi's chest like stones. "What?" "I'm sorry, honey, but I heard him say it more than once, to the neighbors, to the other parents at school, that you'd been given the option to come home and you chose not to." Naomi set down her mug before she could drop it. "That's not true. I was assigned 4 years. I had no choice." "I know that." Mrs. Brooks reached across the table, covering Naomi's hand with her own. "I know how deployments work. My late husband was Army, but Ethan—" She sighed. "I think he needed someone to blame, and you weren't here to defend yourself." The room tilted. Everything tilted. Her husband had lied, about her, to their children, to their community. He'd made her the villain of their story. "Why?" Naomi whispered. "Why would he do that?" Mrs. Brooks squeezed her hand. "I don't know, sweetheart." Maybe hurt. Maybe pride. Maybe he just didn't know how else to explain your absence to 3 confused children. He could have told them the truth. He could have. The older woman's voice was gentle, sad. But people don't always do what's right when they're scared and overwhelmed. Naomi pulled her hand back, pressed both palms flat on the table. She needed something solid, something real. I don't have anywhere to go, she said quietly. Yes, you do. Mrs. Brooks stood. You have a spare room upstairs, fresh sheets, a door that locks, and a neighbor who knows what it's like to come home to a place that doesn't feel like home anymore. Naomi looked up. The older woman's face was kind but firm. No pity, just understanding. I can't ask you to... You're not asking. I'm offering. Mrs. Brooks picked up both mugs, carried them to the sink. And before you say no, remember that your children live next door. You want to be close to them, don't you? She did. God, she did. Just for tonight, Naomi said. Just for as long as you need. The spare room was small and clean, a quilted bedspread, a lamp with a yellow shade, a window that looked out over the street. Naomi set her duffel on the floor, unzipped it slowly. Inside, her few possessions looked pathetic, childish. A book, some photos, letters her kids had written years ago. She pulled out her phone. No messages, no missed calls. Her finger hovered over Ethan's number, then over Malik's. She'd set up a phone for him last year. Basic, nothing fancy. Just so they could talk. Finally, she called. It rang twice. Hello? Malik's voice was cautious, unsure. Hey, baby. Naomi sat on the edge of the bed. It's Mom. Silence. Then, is this really you? The question broke something inside her. Yeah, it's really me. Dad said you might call. Did he? She kept her voice steady. What else did he say? That we should probably talk. That you're back. I am back. I'm staying this time, Malik, I promise. More silence. When he spoke again, his voice was smaller, younger. You said that before. She had. She had said that before. Last time she'd been home on leave. Before she'd gotten her orders extended. Before everything fell apart. I know. But this time it's different. My deployment's over. I'm here for good. Where are you staying? Next door, at Mrs. Brooks's house. Why aren't you staying here? There was an edge to his voice, something sharp and protective. Your dad and I need to talk first. Figure some things out. Are you getting divorced? The question came so fast, so direct. Naomi closed her eyes. I don't know. Honey, we have a lot to work through. Because of you leaving? There it was. The blame, the hurt, years of it, packed into 4 words. Because of a lot of things, she said carefully. But Malik, listen to me. I didn't choose to stay away. I was doing my job. I was serving my country. I thought... Her voice caught. I thought I was doing the right thing for our family. Dad said you chose it. He said you kept re-enlisting. The lie. Mrs. Brooks had warned her, but hearing it from her son's mouth made it real, made it solid. That's not true. She had to say it, had to be clear. I was assigned a 4-year deployment. I didn't choose that, Malik. I would have come home if I could have. He was quiet for a long time, so long she thought he'd hung up. Then, very softly, he said, Jada cried every night for 6 months after you left. Did you know that? Naomi's throat closed. No, I didn't know. Caleb used to ask when you were coming home, every day, every single day, until he stopped asking. Each word was a knife, clean and precise. And Dad, Malik's voice cracked. Dad tried. He really tried, but he was so tired all the time, and sad. And he told us you weren't coming back. He told us to stop hoping. Naomi couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. So I did, Malik finished. I stopped hoping. We all did. The line went quiet. Not dead, She could still hear his breathing, but quiet. "I'm sorry," Naomi whispered. "Malik, I am so sorry. I have to go." His voice was distant now, closed off. "Dad's calling us for dinner. Can I see you tomorrow?" "I don't know, maybe. Malik, good night, Mom." He hung up. Naomi sat in the dim room, phone in her hand, and let herself cry for the first time in 4 years. Morning came too early. Naomi woke to sunlight cutting through unfamiliar curtains, to the sound of birds she'd forgotten existed. For 3 seconds, she didn't remember where she was. Then it all crashed back. She sat up, still wearing yesterday's clothes. Her uniform lay folded on the chair, crisp, pressed, everything in its place, a habit she couldn't break. Even when her whole life was falling apart, she folded her uniform. Her phone showed 6:47 a.m. No messages. Downstairs, Mrs. Brooks was already up. The smell of coffee drifted through the house, strong and real, not the instant packets she'd lived on for 4 years. "Morning," the older woman called from the kitchen. "There's eggs if you want them." Naomi found her in an apron, standing at the stove. The kitchen was warm and lived in, full of the small chaos that comes from actually using a space. Dish towels hanging crooked, a plant on the windowsill, magnets on the refrigerator holding up grandchildren's drawings. "I don't want to be in your way," Naomi said. "You're not." Mrs. Brooks cracked another egg into the pan. "Scrambled, okay?" "That's fine, thank you." They ate in comfortable silence. The eggs were good, real butter, a little cheese, food that someone cared about making. Naomi had forgotten what that felt like. "What's your plan today?" Mrs. Brooks asked, sipping her coffee. "I don't know." Naomi pushed eggs around her plate. "Wait for Ethan to call, I guess. Hope he lets me see the kids." The older woman set down her mug. "Lets you? I don't want to make things worse." "Honey." Mrs. Brooks leaned forward. "They're your children. You don't need permission to see your own children." "But if Ethan doesn't get to decide who their mother is. You do that by showing up, by being present." She paused. "What time do they go to school?" "I don't know anymore." The admission hurt. "I used to know everything. What time they woke up, what they liked for breakfast, which days were library days." "School starts at 8:15, Mrs. Brooks said gently. "I see them leave every morning around 8. You could be there when they come out." Naomi's heart picked up speed. "Just show up. It's a public sidewalk. You have every right to be there." She was right. Of course she was right. But the thought of seeing Ethan again, of facing that closed expression, that polite dismissal— "I'm scared," Naomi admitted quietly. "Mrs.?" Brooks reached across the table, squeezed her hand. "I know. But scared is better than nothing. Scared means you still care." At 7:55, Naomi stood on the sidewalk across from her house. She'd changed into civilian clothes, jeans, a plain blue shirt, no uniform today, just herself. The front door opened. Ethan came out first, keys in hand, looking at his phone. Then the kids. Malik with a backpack slung over one shoulder. Jada carrying a lunchbox covered in stickers. Caleb holding Ethan's free hand, dragging a small-wheeled backpack behind him. They looked so normal, so perfectly ordinary, like a family in a commercial. Naomi's hands clenched at her sides. She'd promised herself she wouldn't cry today. Ethan herded them toward his car, a sedan she didn't recognize, newer than the old Honda they'd had. He was clicking the key fob when Malik looked up. He saw her. Naomi raised one hand in a small wave. Malik froze, said something to Ethan. Ethan's head snapped up, his gaze locking on her across the street. His expression went hard. He said something to the kids, urgent, sharp, got them all into the car quickly, but Jada had seen her too. She pressed her face to the window, eyes wide. Naomi waved again, just once, small and careful. Jada didn't wave back, but she didn't look away either. The car pulled out of the driveway, drove past her. Ethan stared straight ahead, jaw tight. In the back seat, Caleb was talking, oblivious. But Malik and Jada both turned to look at her through the rear window. Then they were gone. Naomi stood there until she couldn't see the car anymore, until the street was empty and quiet again. Her phone buzzed. "Ethan, we need to talk. Coffee shop on Briar Street, 10 a.m. She typed back, "Okay," no other messages came. The coffee shop was new, or new to her at least. Modern, clean, all white walls and hanging plants. Naomi arrived 15 minutes early, ordered black coffee, and took a table in the corner. Ethan showed up exactly at 10. He spotted her immediately, got his own coffee, and sat down across from her. His face was carefully blank. "You can't just show up like that," he said without preamble. "Like what? Standing on a public sidewalk? You scared Jada." The words hit like a slap. "I waved, that's all. I didn't even cross the street. She came home crying last time you left." Ethan's voice was low, controlled. "For months, Naomi. Every night. Do you want to put her through that again?" "I'm not leaving." "You don't know that." "Yes, I do." She kept her voice steady. "My contract is up. I'm out. I came home to rebuild my life with my family." He laughed, short, bitter. "Rebuild. Like it's that simple." "I didn't say it was simple." "You think you can just walk back in after 4 years and everything will be fine? That the kids will forget you were gone? That I'll forget?" Naomi wrapped both hands around her coffee mug. "I know I missed a lot. I know I hurt people, but I was doing my job, Ethan. I was serving—" "Don't." He cut her off. "Don't make this about service, about duty. You could have gotten out. You could have come home." "We needed the money. We needed you." His voice rose slightly. An older couple at a nearby table glanced over. Ethan lowered his voice again. "The kids needed their mother. I needed my wife." "I know that now." The admission cost her. "But I thought I was doing the right thing, providing for us, making sure we'd be stable." "At what cost?" He stared at her. "Caleb doesn't remember you. Jada barely talks about you. Malik—" He stopped, shook his head. "Malik has so much anger, Naomi, so much hurt, and I don't know how to fix it." "Did you tell them I chose to stay away?" She asked it quietly, directly. Ethan's jaw tightened. "Who told you that? Is it true?" He looked away, out the window, at the other customers, anywhere but at her. "Answer me," Naomi pressed. "Did you tell our children that I extended my deployment by choice? I told them—" He stopped, started again. "I told them you had opportunities to come home and you didn't take them." "That's a lie." "Is it?" He turned back to her, and his eyes were hard now, defensive. "You could have taken that desk job 2 years ago, remember? They offered you a position stateside. You turned it down." The desk job, she'd almost forgotten. It would have meant coming home, yes, but it also would have meant a pay cut, worse benefits, no path forward in her career. "We talked about that," she said. "We agreed." "You decided," Ethan interrupted. "You told me what you were going to do, and I had no choice but to accept it. That's not how I remember it." "Of course it isn't." He leaned back in his chair. "You remember what you need to remember to make yourself feel better. But I was here, Naomi. I was the one dealing with the fallout. I was overseas, Ethan. I was—" She stopped herself. She'd been about to say I was in danger, but that wasn't fair. That wasn't the point. "I was doing my job, and I was doing mine, raising our children alone, being both parents, explaining to 3 confused kids why Mommy couldn't be at Christmas, why she missed Malik's championship game, why she wasn't there when Caleb said his first real sentence. Each word was a weight, each one pressed down on her chest. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. "For all of that, I'm truly sorry." "Sorry doesn't fix it." "Then what does? Tell me what to do, Ethan. Tell me how to make this right." He was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, His voice was tired, defeated. I don't know if you can. The words hung between them. Heavy, final. So that's it? Naomi asked. I'm just, what, not allowed to be their mother anymore? I didn't say that. Then what are you saying? He rubbed his face, suddenly looking older than 36. I'm saying you can't just expect everything to go back to how it was. The kids have a routine. They have stability. They've adapted to life without you. I don't want to disrupt their routine, Naomi said carefully. I want to be part of it. How? You don't even know what their routine is. She couldn't argue with that. It was true. She'd missed years of their lives, years of growth and change and small daily moments that built into entire childhoods. Then let me learn, she said. Let me be there. Even if it's just, I don't know, picking them up from school sometimes, taking them to the park. And when you leave again, I'm not leaving. You keep saying that. Ethan's voice was flat. But you don't understand. You don't see how much it broke them last time. I can't let them go through that again. So you'd rather they just, what, not have a mother at all? They have me. He said it firmly, definitively. I've been their mother and their father for 4 years. I've been enough. The statement landed between them like a gauntlet. Naomi took a breath. Another. She'd learned control overseas, how to manage her emotions even when everything was chaos. She used that skill now. You're a good father, she said quietly. I can see that. The kids are healthy and happy and clearly loved. You did an amazing job, Ethan. I mean that. He blinked, surprised by the acknowledgement. But, Naomi continued, they're my children too. And I have a right to be in their lives. Legally, morally. I'm not asking for permission. I'm telling you, I'm going to show up. I'm going to be present. And you can either help make that transition smooth for them, or you can make it harder. But either way, I'm not disappearing. Ethan stared at her. Something flickered in his expression. Respect? Maybe. Or fear. She couldn't tell. I need time, he said finally. They need time. How much time? I don't know. A few days. A week. Let me talk to them. Prepare them. No. The word came out firmer than she intended. I've been gone for 4 years. I'm not waiting another week. I want to see them today. Naomi, today, she repeated. Even if it's just for an hour. Even if it's just at a park or a restaurant. I need to see my children, Ethan. He was quiet. She could see him calculating, weighing options. Okay, he said finally, but on my terms. We all go together, somewhere neutral, and if any of the kids get upset, we stop immediately. It wasn't what she wanted, but it was something. Okay, she agreed. I'll pick them up from school at 3. We can meet at Riverside Park at 3:30. Naomi nodded. I'll be there. They sat for another moment. The coffee shop bustled around them, people working on laptops, meeting friends, living normal lives. Everything felt surreal. Why did you lie to them? Naomi asked quietly. About me choosing to stay away? Ethan's expression shuddered. I didn't lie. I gave them a version they could understand. A version where I'm the villain. A version where they didn't have to feel abandoned. His voice was sharp again. Do you have any idea how hard it was? Watching them wait for you? Watching them check the mail every day for letters that came less and less? I had to give them something, Naomi. Some reason why you weren't there, so you made them think I didn't want to be. I made them think they were better off focusing on the present instead of waiting for someone who might never come back. The truth of it hit her. He hadn't been protecting her. He'd been protecting himself, protecting them all from hope that might shatter. I get it, she said softly. I do. But now I'm here, and we have to deal with the truth. Not the story you told, the actual truth. Ethan stood, picking up his empty cup. 3:30? Riverside Park. Don't be late." He left without another word. Naomi sat alone in the coffee shop, surrounded by strangers, and tried to remember how to breathe. At 3:15, she stood at the entrance to Riverside Park. It was the same park where she'd taken Malik to learn to ride a bike, where Jada had scraped her knee and cried until Naomi kissed it better, where she'd pushed baby Caleb on the swings, his laughter bright and endless. Now it felt like foreign territory. Ethan's car pulled into the parking lot at 3:28. Naomi watched as he got out, then opened the back doors. The kids climbed out slowly, Malik first, hanging back, Jada clutching her father's hand, Caleb still dragging that wheeled backpack. They saw her standing by the playground. Malik's expression went carefully blank. Jada pressed closer to Ethan. Caleb tilted his head, curious. Naomi walked toward them. Slow, non-threatening, like approaching a nervous animal. "Hi," she said when she got close enough. "Hi," Jada whispered. Then quieter, "Mom." The word cracked something open in Naomi's chest. "Hey, baby girl." She crouched down, making herself smaller, less intimidating. "I like your backpack. Is that new?" Jada nodded. "Dad got it for my birthday." "Your birthday?" Naomi's throat tightened. She'd missed it. Of course she'd missed it. She'd missed all of their birthdays. "Did you have a good party?" Another nod. "We went to the arcade." "That sounds fun." Naomi looked up at Malik. "How about you, bud? How was school?" He shrugged. "Fine." "Just fine?" "We had a test in math. I probably failed." "You didn't fail," Ethan said quietly. "You studied." Malik didn't respond. Caleb had edged closer, still studying Naomi with those serious eyes. "Are you staying?" he asked suddenly. "Yes." Naomi met his gaze. "I'm staying. For good." That's what grown-ups say when they're leaving soon. His voice was matter-of-fact, no accusation, just observation. The words stabbed through her. "Not this time," she said gently. "This time I mean it. I'm not going anywhere." Caleb considered this. Okay. Just like that. Simple acceptance. She'd forgotten how children could do that. Accept things at face value, give second chances without requiring an explanation. "You want to play?" Naomi asked him. He looked at Ethan. "Can I?" "Sure, buddy." Caleb headed toward the playground, and Naomi followed. Behind her, she heard Ethan talking quietly with Malik and Jada. The playground was newer than she remembered. Bright colors, updated equipment. Caleb went straight for the slide. He climbed up, slid down, ran back around. Again and again, methodical, focused. "You like that slide?" Naomi asked. "It's the best one." He climbed again. "The other ones are too slow." She smiled. "How do you know they're too slow?" "I tested them. First day we came here, I tested all the slides. This one's fastest." "That's smart. Very scientific." He beamed at her, just for a second. Then he was sliding again. Jada drifted over eventually, drawn by the swings. She sat on one but didn't pump her legs, just twisted back and forth. "Want to push?" Naomi offered. Jada hesitated, then nodded. Naomi stood behind her, gave her a gentle push. Then another. Small movements. She remembered this. The weight of her daughter. The sound of her breathing. The way her hair caught the light. "Higher," Jada said softly. Naomi pushed harder. The swing arced up, and Jada let out a small laugh. That sound. That laugh. Naomi had heard it in her dreams. "Higher," Jada said again, louder this time. "You got it." They stayed like that. Naomi pushing, Jada swinging, both of them not talking but together, sharing space, sharing time. Malik stayed near Ethan, arms crossed, watching, not joining in, just watching. After a while, Caleb got tired of the slide. He came over and climbed onto the swing next to Jada. "Push me too," he demanded. "Use your manners," Ethan called from the bench. "Please," Caleb added. Naomi moved between the two swings, pushing them both in turn. Her arms remembered this motion. Her body remembered this work. "Tell us about where you were," Jada said suddenly. Naomi caught her swing, slowed it down. "What do you want to know?" Was it scary? The question was so direct, so honest. She could have lied, could have softened it. "Sometimes," she said instead. "Sometimes it was scary. But I had friends there, people I trusted. We took care of each other." "Did you think about us?" Caleb asked. "Every single day." She looked at him seriously. "Every morning when I woke up, every night before I went to sleep, I thought about you all the time." "Then why didn't you come home?" His voice was still matter-of-fact, still just asking. "Because I had a job to do, and sometimes grown-ups have to finish their jobs even when they want to be somewhere else." "Dad said you chose your job over us." There it was, the lie, out in the open. Naomi glanced at Ethan. He was watching now, tense. "That's not exactly right," she said carefully. "I didn't choose my job over you. I chose a job that would help our family have money and be safe. But I understand why it felt that way. And I'm sorry it hurt you." Caleb thought about this. "Okay. Okay? Yeah. Okay." He kicked his legs, starting to swing again. "Can you push me really high this time?" "How high?" "Really, really high." "You got it." She pushed him hard. He squealed with delight, his legs kicking out at the top of the arc. Jada laughed. "My turn, do me!" Naomi pushed her too, both kids swinging high, laughing, their earlier caution melting into just being kids at a park on a sunny afternoon. When they finally wore themselves out, they collapsed on the grass near the bench where Ethan and Malik sat. Naomi sat down too, cross-legged, close but not too close. "I'm thirsty," Caleb announced. "There's juice boxes in the car," Ethan said. "Can I get them?" "Sure. Malik, go with him." Malik stood reluctantly, followed Caleb toward the parking lot. Jada stayed, lying on her back, staring at the sky. "Look," she said, pointing. "That cloud looks like a dragon." Naomi looked up. "I see it. And that one looks like a puppy." "It does." They watched clouds for a while. Peaceful, quiet. "Mom?" Jada's voice was small. "Yeah, baby." "Are you mad at us?" The question pierced through Naomi. She rolled onto her side, looking at her daughter. "No, never. Why would I be mad at you?" "Because we didn't remember you." "Oh, sweetheart." Naomi reached out, touched Jada's hand, just lightly. "I'm not mad. You were little when I left. It's okay that you don't remember everything." Malik remembered. "Malik's older. He's mad at you." Naomi nodded slowly. "I know. That's okay too. He has a right to be mad." "Is that why he won't talk to you?" "Maybe. Or maybe he just needs time to figure out how he feels." Jada was quiet for a moment. Then, "I'm glad you came back." The words broke Naomi open. She had to blink hard to keep from crying. "I'm glad too," she managed. "So glad." Malik and Caleb came back with juice boxes. They all sat in a circle on the grass, drinking and not talking much. It was awkward and strange and imperfect, but they were together. When the juice boxes were empty, Ethan checked his watch. "We should head home. Homework time." The kids groaned but started gathering their things. Naomi stood, brushing grass off her jeans. "Can we see you again?" Jada asked. "Of course. Whenever you want." "Tomorrow?" Naomi looked at Ethan. He hesitated, then nodded slightly. "Tomorrow?" Naomi agreed. "Same time?" "Okay." Caleb hugged her suddenly, quick and fierce. Then he pulled away, embarrassed, and ran toward the car. Jada hugged her too, longer. Naomi breathed in her daughter's scent, strawberry shampoo and playground dirt. Malik stood apart, hands in his pockets. "See you tomorrow, Malik," Naomi said gently. He nodded once, didn't speak. Then followed his siblings, Ethan lingered. That went better than I expected. Yeah. Naomi watched her children climb into the car. They're amazing kids, Ethan. You did good. He softened slightly. Thanks. I meant what I said. I'm not leaving. I'm going to show up every day, however long it takes. Ethan was quiet. Then, I believe you. It wasn't forgiveness. It wasn't reconciliation. But it was something. He walked to his car, drove away with their children. Naomi stood in the empty park until the sun started to set, painting everything gold and orange and new. The next morning, Naomi woke up with purpose. She'd spent half the night researching school schedules, after-school programs, what 11-year-olds and 8-year-olds and 5-year-olds needed. The internet was different than she remembered. Everything moved faster now. Mrs. Brooks was already in the kitchen when Naomi came down. You look determined, the older woman observed. I'm picking the kids up from school today. Naomi poured coffee. Ethan agreed to it last night, over text. That's good. Mrs. Brooks smiled. Progress. Small progress. Naomi sat down. But I'll take it. She spent the morning at the community center, a place she'd never been before. It was busy, full of people, a basketball court on one side, meeting rooms on the other, bulletin boards covered in flyers about yoga classes and job fairs and support groups. A man in his late 30s stood behind the front desk, typing on a computer. He looked up when she approached. Can I help you? His voice was warm, professional. Naomi paused. I'm looking for information about programs for kids, activities. Sure. He came around the desk, extending his hand. Daniel Ruiz. I coordinate most of the youth programs here. She shook his hand. Naomi Carter. Something flickered in his expression. Recognition, maybe, but he didn't comment. How old are your kids? He asked instead. 11, 8, and 5. Great ages. He pulled some pamphlets from a rack on the wall. We have soccer league for the older two, art classes, a reading program on Saturday mornings, and for the 5-year-old, we do a little explorers group, basically structured play with other kids his age. Naomi took the pamphlets, scanning them. These are free? Most of them. Some have a small fee to cover materials, but we have scholarships available if cost is an issue. It's not. She looked up. I'm trying to figure out what my kids might like. I've been away for a while. Deployment. He said it carefully, not prying, just asking. She nodded. Thank you for your service. He said it like he meant it, not like a script. My dad was Navy. I know how hard it is on families. Yeah. She folded the pamphlets. It is. If you want recommendations, I'd be happy to talk through what might work for your kids. But I'd need to know them a little better. What they're interested in. Naomi's throat tightened. I don't know anymore. I'm still figuring that out. Daniel's expression softened with understanding. That's okay. You've got time. Bring them by sometime. Let them look around. See what catches their attention. I will, thank you. She was turning to leave when he called after her. Ms. Carter? She looked back. It takes courage to show up when you don't have all the answers. Just so you know, that matters. She nodded, not trusting her voice, and left. At 2:45, Naomi stood outside the elementary school. Other parents gathered in clusters, mostly mothers, some fathers, a few grandparents. They chatted easily, comfortable with each other, a community she wasn't part of. A woman with a baby on her hip glanced at her, then did a double-take. Naomi recognized her from the party, the blonde with the wine glass. The woman looked away quickly. Naomi kept her face neutral. She was used to people staring, used to being the outsider. The school doors opened at exactly 3 o'clock. Kids poured out in a chaotic stream, loud, energetic, relieved to be free. She spotted Jada first, braids bouncing as she ran toward the pickup area, then Caleb, walking more slowly with his teacher, and finally Malik, hanging back, talking to another kid. Jada saw her and stopped, her whole face lit up. "Mom!" She ran over, nearly tripping over her own feet. Naomi caught her, pulled her into a hug. "Hey, baby, how was school?" "Good. We made volcanoes in science. Mine exploded everywhere." "That sounds exciting." "It was so cool." Jada bounced on her toes. "Where's Dad?" "I'm picking you up today, is that okay?" "Yeah." Jada grabbed her hand. "Can we get ice cream?" "Maybe. Let's get your brothers first." Caleb's teacher brought him over, looking uncertain. "Are you—" "Their mother," Naomi said clearly. "Naomi Carter." The teacher's expression cleared. "Oh, Mr. Carter mentioned you might be picking them up. It's nice to meet you." "You too." Caleb took her other hand without hesitation. "Can we go to the park again?" "We'll see. We need to figure out homework first." "I don't have homework." "Lucky you. Your sister might." Malik appeared, still talking to his friend, a tall kid with glasses. When he saw Naomi, he said a quick goodbye and walked over slowly. "Ready?" Naomi asked. He shrugged. "I guess." They walked to Naomi's rental car, a basic sedan she'd picked up that morning. The kids piled in. Caleb and Jada immediately started arguing about who got which seat. Malik sat silently in the back, headphones on. Naomi drove carefully, hyper-aware of her precious cargo. 4 years since she'd driven with her kids in the car. 4 years since she'd been responsible for getting them safely from one place to another. "So," she said, glancing in the rearview mirror, "what do you guys want to do? We have about 2 hours before I need to get you home for dinner." "Ice cream!" Jada shouted. "Park!" Caleb countered. "Homework!" Malik muttered. Naomi made a decision. Homework first, then ice cream, then maybe a quick stop at the park if there's time. Jada groaned dramatically. Caleb kicked the back of the seat, but Malik took off his headphones, and Naomi counted that as a win. She drove them to Mrs. Brooks's house. The older woman had offered her dining room table for the afternoon. "This isn't our house," Jada observed as they pulled up. "No, but it's where I'm staying right now. And Mrs. Brooks said you could do homework here today." "Why aren't you staying at our house?" Caleb asked. "Because your dad and I are figuring some things out, but I'm close by, right next door." "That's weird," Jada said. "Yeah," Naomi agreed. "It is a little weird." Inside, Mrs. Brooks had set out cookies and milk. The kids descended on them like locusts. "Homework first," Naomi reminded them. "Then cookies." More groaning. But they got out their folders and books. Jada had a worksheet on multiplication. Naomi sat with her at the table, helping her work through the problems. It was slow going. Jada got distracted easily, started doodling in the margins, asked questions about everything except math. "Is 7 times 8 really 56? She asked, suspicious. "Count it out if you don't believe me." Jada drew 56 little circles, counted them. "Okay, you're right. I usually am with math. Are you good at math?" "Pretty good." "Better than Dad?" Naomi hesitated. "We're both good at different things. Dad says math is stupid. Math is useful, even when it's hard." Caleb didn't have homework, so he played with building blocks Mrs. Brooks had found in her garage, relics from when her own grandchildren visited. He built elaborate structures, then knocked them down and started over. Malik worked silently on an essay about a book Naomi had never heard of. She wanted to ask him about it, wanted to engage, but he had his headphones back on, clearly signaling he didn't want to talk, so she let him be. When homework was finally done, Jada's worksheet completed, Malik's essay typed up, Naomi loaded them back in the car. "Ice cream time," she announced. "Yes!" Jada pumped her fist. The ice cream shop was crowded. Kids everywhere, parents standing in line, teenagers behind the counter working efficiently. Naomi held Caleb's hand so he wouldn't get lost in the chaos. "What flavor do you want?" she asked him. "Chocolate, with sprinkles, and gummy bears, and—" "One topping," Naomi said firmly. "That's what Dad says, too." Caleb sounded disappointed but unsurprised. They got their ice cream, chocolate for Caleb with sprinkles, strawberry for Jada, mint chip for Malik, and sat outside at a metal table. The afternoon was warm, but not too hot. Perfect. Jada's ice cream dripped down her hand. "Oops." Naomi handed her a napkin. "Eat faster." "I'm trying." But she was licking it slowly, deliberately, making a mess. Malik ate his in silence, scrolling on his phone. "Malik," Naomi said gently, "can you put the phone down?" He looked up, surprised. "Why?" "Because we're spending time together. I want to talk to you." "We don't have anything to talk about." His voice wasn't hostile, just factual. "We have 4 years to talk about." "Not really." He took another bite of ice cream. "You were gone. We were here. That's pretty much it." Jada looked between them, worried. Caleb kept eating, oblivious. "Tell me about school," Naomi tried. "What's your favorite subject?" "I don't have one." "Okay. Least favorite?" "All of them." This wasn't working. She was pushing too hard. "Fair enough," she said. "Ice cream's good though, right?" He nodded slightly. "Yeah, it's good." Small progress. They finished their ice cream and drove to the park, the same one from yesterday. The kids ran off immediately, leaving Naomi alone on a bench. She watched them play. Watched Jada on the monkey bars, Caleb climbing everything he could reach, Malik sitting on a swing but not swinging, just scrolling on his phone again. Her kids, right there, real and solid and growing up without her. Her phone buzzed. A text from Ethan. "Ethan, how's it going?" Naomi. "Good. At the park. They did homework first." Ethan. "Thanks for that." Naomi. "Of course." A pause. Then another message. Ethan. "Malik seems okay?" Naomi. "Quiet, but okay." Ethan. "That's normal for him lately." She wanted to ask what that meant. Wanted to know everything she'd missed. But texting felt wrong for that conversation. Naomi. "I'll have them home by 5:30. Ethan. "Sounds good." She put her phone away. Malik had gotten off the swing and was walking toward her. "Can we go soon?" he asked. "I have stuff to do at home." "Sure. Let me get your brother and sister." "I'll get them." He walked away before she could respond. 5 minutes later, they were back in the car. Naomi drove slowly, not ready for this time to end. "Can we do this again tomorrow?" Jada asked. "If your dad says it's okay?" "He will. He likes when we're not bothering him after school." Naomi glanced at her in the rearview mirror. "He said that?" "Not exactly." Jada kicked her feet. "But he's always tired when we get home. He has to make dinner and help with homework and do laundry and everything." Guilt pressed down on Naomi's chest. "That's a lot for one person." "Yeah, but he does it." "He does," Naomi agreed quietly. When they pulled up to the house, Ethan was already home. He came out as the kids scrambled from the car. "Did you have fun?" he asked them. "We got ice cream," Caleb announced. "And did homework first," Jada added virtuously. "Good." Ethan smiled at them, then looked at Naomi. His expression was guarded but not unfriendly. "Thanks for picking them up." "Anytime." She meant it. "Want to come in?" The offer seemed to surprise him as much as it surprised her. "For dinner, I mean. Nothing fancy. Just spaghetti." Naomi's heart jumped. "Are you sure?" "The kids want you there." He said it like that was the only reason. Maybe it was. "And it's fine." "Okay, yeah, thank you." Inside, the house was exactly as she remembered and completely different. Same layout, same furniture mostly, but different photos on the walls, ones she wasn't in, different artwork from the kids, a different feeling. She stood in the living room, unsure where to go. "You can sit," Ethan said, heading toward the kitchen. I'll get dinner started. Can I help? He hesitated. Sure, if you want. They worked together in careful silence, Ethan boiling water, Naomi cutting vegetables for salad. The kids were in the living room arguing over what to watch on TV. They're good kids, Naomi said quietly. They are. Ethan opened a jar of sauce. They've been through a lot, but they're resilient. Because of you. He glanced at her, surprised again. I did what I had to do. You did more than that. You kept them safe and loved and... She stopped, her throat tight. Thank you. For that. Ethan didn't respond right away, just dumped sauce into a pot, stirred it slowly. I was angry for a long time, he said finally. At you, at the situation, at everything. I know. But seeing you with them yesterday, today, seeing them happy, he stopped stirring. I don't know. Maybe this can work. Somehow. It wasn't forgiveness, but it was acknowledgement, space for possibility. I want to be here, Naomi said. However it looks, whatever arrangement works. I just want to be part of their lives. Okay. He nodded slowly. We'll figure it out. Dinner was awkward but bearable. They sat around the table, Naomi in what used to be her chair, Ethan across from her, kids between them. Jada chattered about school. Caleb demonstrated how big his volcano explosion was. Malik ate in silence but didn't leave the table. It felt almost normal, almost like a family. After dinner, the kids scattered, TV, toys, homework. Naomi helped Ethan clean up. I should probably go, she said, drying the last dish. Yeah, it's getting late. She called out goodbyes to the kids. Jada ran over for a hug. Caleb waved from the couch. Malik called bye from upstairs. Ethan walked her to the door. Thank you for tonight, Naomi said. Yeah, it was good. She stepped outside, then turned back. Ethan? Yeah? Why did you really tell them I chose to stay away? He looked down, at the porch, at his shoes, anywhere but at her. Because it was easier, he admitted. Easier than explaining that the army owned you, that our government decided you were more valuable overseas than here. Easier than making them understand something I didn't understand myself. The honesty was raw, painful. And because, he continued, his voice lower, I needed someone to blame. And you weren't here to defend yourself. I'm here now. I know. He finally met her eyes. And I'll tell them the truth, eventually, when they're ready to hear it. Thank you. She walked back to Mrs. Brooks's house, the evening air cool on her face. Through the window, she could see her kids settling into their nighttime routines. Her family. Still hers, even if she had to fight to keep them. The next few days fell into a rhythm. Naomi picked the kids up from school. They did homework together. Sometimes they got ice cream or went to the park. Sometimes they just sat in Mrs. Brooks's living room, existing in the same space. Malik stayed distant but less hostile. Jada warmed up more each day. Caleb treated her like she'd never left, which was both wonderful and heartbreaking. On Friday, Malik asked if he could talk to her. Alone. They sat on Mrs. Brooks's porch while the younger kids played inside. I need to know something, Malik said, not looking at her. Did you really want to come home? Or did you just have to because your time was up? The question was so honest, it hurt. Both, Naomi said. I had to come home because my contract ended, but I wanted to come home because I missed you, all of you, every single day. Dad said you could have come home earlier. He said you chose not to. Your dad was hurting. He said things that weren't completely true. So you're saying he lied? I'm saying he was trying to protect you from a complicated situation. Malik finally looked at her. Stop talking to me like I'm a baby. I'm 11. I can handle complicated. He was right. She'd been doing that. Softening everything, making it easier. treating him like he was younger than he was. "Okay," she said. "Here's the truth. I was assigned a 4-year deployment. I didn't get a choice about that. But there was a desk job offered about 2 years ago that would have brought me home early. I turned it down because it meant less money and worse benefits. Your dad and I fought about it. I thought I was making the right choice for our family's future. He thought I was choosing my career over you guys." Malik absorbed this. "So you did choose to stay." "I chose what I thought was best for everyone. I was wrong." "Yeah, you were." His voice wasn't angry, just sad. "Because we needed you here more than we needed money." The words landed like stones in her chest. "You're right," she said quietly. "I should have come home. I should have taken that job. I'm sorry, Malik." He was quiet for a long time. Then, "Dad cried a lot after you left. He tried to hide it, but I heard him sometimes. At night." Naomi closed her eyes. "I cried, too." "Good!" He said it fiercely. "You should have." They sat in silence, not comfortable, not resolved, but honest. "Are you staying?" Malik asked finally. "Really staying? Really staying? What if you get bored? What if being a regular mom isn't exciting enough after—" He gestured vaguely. "After everything? Being your mom is the most important thing I've ever done. More important than anything overseas. More important than any mission or assignment. You, Jada, and Caleb, you're my mission now." He didn't say anything, but his shoulders relaxed slightly. "I'm still mad at you," he said. "I know. And I don't forgive you yet. That's okay. You don't have to. But I want you to keep showing up, even if I'm not nice." "I will. I promise." He nodded, then stood up. "I'm gonna go play with Caleb now." "Okay." He paused at the door. "Mom?" "Yeah?" "I'm glad you're home, even though I'm mad." The words cracked her open. "I'm glad too, baby. So glad." He went inside. Naomi sat on the porch alone, letting herself cry for the second time in a week. That night, Ethan called. "Malik talked to me," he said without preamble. "About the desk job. About why you didn't take it." "Yeah, we talked about it today. I owe you an apology." His voice was thick. "I told the kids you chose to stay away, but I never told them about the money situation. About how we were barely making ends meet before your deployment. How the benefits saved us. You were hurt. That doesn't make it right." He sighed. "I'm going to talk to them. All 3 of them. Tell them the whole story. Not my version. The actual truth. Thank you. And Naomi?" He paused. "I think we should look into counseling. Family counseling. For all of us." The suggestion surprised her. "You'd be willing to do that?" "The kids need it. We need it. To figure out how to move forward." "Okay. Yes. Let's do that." They talked logistics, finding a counselor, scheduling appointments, how to present it to the kids. It felt like planning, like building something instead of just surviving. When they hung up, Naomi lay in bed in Mrs. Brooks's spare room and felt something she hadn't felt in years. Hope. 3 weeks passed. 3 weeks of showing up. 3 weeks of homework help and school pickups and slowly learning who her children had become. Naomi learned that Malik loved graphic novels, but pretended not to. That Jada could draw for hours if left alone with paper and markers. That Caleb had memorized every dinosaur name and would recite them in alphabetical order if anyone asked. She learned their routines, their rhythms, the small things that made them who they were. But she was still sleeping at Mrs. Brooks's house, still living out of a duffel bag, still existing in the space between returning and belonging. On a Thursday morning, she sat at Mrs. Brooks's kitchen table with apartment listings spread in front of her. "You're really doing this," Mrs. Brooks said, pouring coffee. "I can't stay here forever." Naomi circled an ad for a 2-bedroom nearby. "You've been so generous, but I need my own space." Somewhere the kids can visit. Somewhere that's mine. I understand. The older woman sat down across from her. But honey, have you talked to Ethan about moving back home? That house doesn't feel like home anymore. Naomi traced the rim of her mug. Maybe it never will again. And that's okay. We need to figure out what comes next, not try to recreate what was. That's wise, Mrs. Brooks smiled. Painful, but wise. I'm looking at places within walking distance of their school. Close enough that they can come over whenever, but separate. My own space to build something new. When will you start looking? Today, actually. I have 3 showings scheduled. The first apartment was too small. The second was too expensive. The third was perfect. A modest 2-bedroom on the ground floor of a quiet building. 1 bedroom for her, 1 for the kids to share when they stayed over. The landlord was an older man with kind eyes. He looked at her application, noted her military service. My son's Army, he said. Overseas right now. Where? Germany. Been there 2 years. That's hard. Naomi meant it. It is. He looked back at her application. But he's doing important work, just like you did. When do you want to move in? As soon as possible. How about this weekend? Naomi's heart jumped. Really? Really. Welcome home, Ms. Carter. She signed the lease right there, hands shaking slightly. Her own place, her own space, a new beginning. That evening, she told the kids over pizza at a restaurant Jada had picked. I got an apartment, she announced. Close to your school. You can walk there if you want. Can we see it? Jada asked immediately. Once I move in? This weekend. Can we help? Caleb wanted to know. If you want to. Malik was quiet, picking pepperoni off his slice. Finally, he said, so you're not moving back home. It wasn't a question, just a statement. No, Naomi said honestly. Your dad and we're working on things, but we need space to figure it out. This way, you guys can come see me whenever you want. Sleep over sometimes. Have your own space at both places. Like we have 2 homes, Jada said slowly. Exactly like that. I don't like it. Malik's voice was flat. It's weird. It is weird, Naomi agreed. But a lot of families do it this way, and it doesn't mean we love you less. It just means we're doing things differently. He didn't respond, just went back to his pizza. Later, when Naomi dropped them off, Ethan came out to the car. I heard about the apartment, he said. Yeah, I hope that's okay. It's good. He looked toward the house, then back at her. Actually, it's probably better this way. Less confusing for the kids. Clear boundaries. That's what I thought. When do you move in? Saturday. The kids want to help. I'll bring them over. We can make a day of it. The offer surprised her. You don't have to. I want to. He cut her off gently. They need to see us working together, being civil, maybe even friendly. Friendly. Naomi tested the word. Think we can manage that? We can try. Saturday morning came bright and clear. Naomi had spent Friday moving her few belongings, clothes, books, the items from her duffel bag that had followed her across the world. The apartment was mostly empty. Bare walls. No furniture except what the landlord had left. A couch, a small table, 2 chairs. Ethan arrived with the kids at 10. They piled out of the car carrying boxes, things from the house that Ethan said she might want. Old photo albums, kitchen supplies, a lamp she'd bought years ago. You didn't have to do this, Naomi said. Half of it's yours anyway. He handed her a box. And the kids picked out some things they thought you'd like. Inside, Jada ran from room to room, claiming the smaller bedroom for when they stayed over. Can I decorate? She asked. Can I put up posters? Sure. Whatever you want. Can I paint it? Naomi looked at Ethan. He shrugged. It's your place. What color? Naomi asked Jada. Purple. No, pink. No, both. Let's start with one color and see how it goes. They spent the day unpacking, hanging pictures, making the space feel lived in. Caleb found the building's small playground out back and spent an hour on the swings. Malik helped assemble a bookshelf, working silently but efficiently. Ethan ordered pizza for lunch. They ate sitting on the floor because there weren't enough chairs. "This is kind of fun," Jada said through a mouthful of cheese. "Like camping, but inside." "Exactly like camping," Naomi agreed. After lunch, they went to a thrift store. The kids picked out things for the apartment: a rug for the living room, dishes with cartoon characters on them, a lamp shaped like a rocket ship. "You don't have to get me that," Naomi said when Caleb insisted on the rocket lamp. "But it's cool, and it'll be in my room when I'm here." His room, like it was already decided, like this was already home. Naomi bought the lamp. By evening, the apartment looked almost complete. Not perfect, but real. Lived in. A place where people existed. The kids sprawled on the couch, exhausted. Ethan stood in the kitchen with Naomi, both of them drinking water. "This is good," he said quietly. "What you're building here. Thanks for helping." The kids needed to see this. "To know you're really staying." "I am." She looked at him. "I know I keep saying it, but I believe you now." He set down his glass. "I see you showing up, day after day. That's what matters." They stood in comfortable silence, not the silence of strangers, not the silence of enemies, just silence. "Ethan," Naomi said carefully, "can I ask you something?" "Sure." "Do you think—" She stopped, started again. "Do you think we'll ever be okay? Not together, necessarily, but okay?" He thought about it, really thought. "I don't know," he said finally, "but I think maybe we can try. For them." He nodded toward the living room where the kids were arguing over what to watch. "For them," Naomi agreed. The first family therapy session was the following Tuesday. Naomi picked up the kids after school and drove them to the counselor's office, a small building with a waiting room full of comfortable chairs and children's books. Dr. Patricia Williams was in her 50s, with gray hair and wire-rimmed glasses. She had the kind of face that made you want to tell her things. "Hello, everyone," she said, ushering them into her office. "I'm Dr. Williams. You can call me Dr. Pat if that's easier." The kids sat on a long couch. Naomi and Ethan took chairs on either side. Dr. Pat sat across from them, clipboard in hand, but not writing anything down yet. "So," she started, "can anyone tell me why we're all here today?" Silence. Finally, Caleb raised his hand. "Because Mom came back and everything's weird now." Dr. Pat smiled. "That's very honest." "Caleb, thank you. Does everyone else feel that way too? That things are weird?" Jada nodded. Malik stared at the floor. "Weird isn't bad," Dr. Pat continued. "Weird just means different, and different can be hard to adjust to. So what we're going to do here is talk about those feelings. Make space for everyone to say what they need to say. Does that sound okay?" The kids nodded. "Good. Let's start with something simple. Malik, what's one thing that's different now that your mom's back?" Malik looked up, surprised to be called on first. She picks us up from school sometimes now." "And how does that feel?" He shrugged. "Fine, I guess." "Just fine?" He hesitated. "Good. It feels good. But also weird, because I got used to it being just Dad." "That makes sense, Doctor," Pat said. "You spent a long time building a routine with your dad. Now that routine's changing. That can be uncomfortable even when the change is good." Malik nodded slowly. Dr. Pat turned to Jada. "What about you? What's different?" "Mom doesn't know what I like anymore," Jada said quietly. "Like, she bought me the wrong kind of juice. And she didn't know I don't like broccoli anymore. I used to like it, but now I don't." "Those are important things to know about someone," Dr. Pat acknowledged. "How did it feel when she got them wrong?" "Sad," Like she's not really my mom anymore. Naomi's chest tightened. She wanted to reach out, to comfort. But Dr. Pat caught her eye and shook her head slightly. Let her talk. But she's trying, Jada continued. She asks me questions now about what I like. And she remembers. She bought the right juice yesterday. That's good, Dr. Pat said. That means she's learning, paying attention. What about you, Caleb? What's different for you? Caleb thought hard. I don't remember Mom from before, so everything is new. It's like having a new person, but everyone says she's my mom. The words were so matter-of-fact, so honest. Doctor, Pat nodded. And how does that feel? Having this new person who's supposed to be your mom? Okay, I think. He swung his legs. She's nice. She plays with me. Dad says she used to take care of me when I was a baby, but I don't remember. That must be confusing. Yeah, but Dad says it's okay to not remember. He says Mom still loves me even if I don't remember her. Your dad's right, Doctor, Pat said gently. She turned to Naomi and Ethan. Okay, parents, your turn. Naomi, what's the hardest part of being home? Naomi took a breath. Realizing how much I missed, how much they've changed, and knowing that I can't get that time back, I can't undo the years I was gone. And how does that feel? Like I failed them. Her voice cracked. Like I chose wrong and now I have to live with the consequences. Do you still think you chose wrong? Dr. Pat asked. I don't know. I thought I was doing the right thing, providing for them, but... She looked at her kids. But maybe there are more important things than money. Dr. Pat turned to Ethan. What about you? What's hardest for you? Ethan was quiet for a moment, letting go of the anger. I was so angry for so long, and now she's here, trying, and I want to be angry still. But it's getting harder to hold on to. Why do you think that is? Because... He stopped, started again. Because I see her with the kids. I see how hard she's trying, and I remember why I fell in love with her in the first place. Her determination, her strength, and I realize she was using those same qualities to survive overseas, to do her job. She wasn't trying to hurt us. Naomi looked at him, surprised, grateful. But, Ethan continued, I also realize I hurt her, by lying to the kids, by making her the villain. And I don't know how to fix that. You can't fix it, Dr. Pat said simply. But you can acknowledge it, apologize for it, and do better going forward, both of you. They talked for another 40 minutes about routines and expectations and how to co-parent effectively, about being honest with the kids, about making space for everyone's feelings, even the hard ones. When the session ended, Dr. Pat walked them to the door. You're a brave family, she said, all of you. It takes courage to sit in a room and be this honest. Keep showing up, keep trying. That's all any of us can do. In the car, the kids were quiet, processing. Finally, Jada said, Dr. Pat is nice. She is, Naomi agreed. Are we going back? Every week for a while, is that okay? Yeah. I like talking about my feelings, even the sad ones. Malik didn't say anything. But when Naomi glanced in the rearview mirror, he wasn't wearing his headphones. He was listening. The weeks turned into a month, then 2. The therapy sessions continued. Slowly, painfully, they learned how to be a family again. Different from before, but still a family. Naomi kept showing up, to school pickups, to soccer games she hadn't known Malik was playing in, to Jada's art show at school. To Caleb's little explorers group at the community center, Daniel Ruiz became a familiar face. He'd wave when he saw her, ask how the kids were adjusting. Malik's really good at soccer, he mentioned one afternoon. Has he thought about joining the travel team? I don't know. I'll ask him. When she brought it up later, Malik's eyes lit up, just for a second before he shuddered the expression. It costs money, he said. That's okay, I can manage it. Dad already pays for a lot of stuff. Then we'll figure it out together. Naomi pulled out her phone. Let me text him now. Ethan's response came quickly. If Malik wants to do it, let's make it happen. He says yes, Naomi told Malik. Something in her son's face softened. Okay, yeah, I want to do it. Small victories. They added up. One evening, 6 weeks after she'd returned, Naomi was cooking dinner in her apartment when someone knocked. She opened the door to find Ethan standing there holding a box. Hey, he said, got a minute? Sure, come in. He set the box on her kitchen counter. I was going through some stuff in the attic, found these, thought you might want them. She opened the box. Inside were photos, hundreds of them, from before her deployment, the kids as babies, their wedding, family vacations. Ethan, I kept them, he said quietly. Even when I was angry, I couldn't throw them away. These are your memories too. She pulled out a photo of Malik at 3, covered in mud, grinning wildly. Another of Jada's first birthday, cake smashed all over her face. One of Caleb as a newborn, so tiny he fit in Ethan's hands. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you for keeping these. I also wanted to, he paused. I wanted to apologize, officially, for what I told the kids, for making you the villain of our story. You already apologized. Not properly. Not the way I should have. He met her eyes. I was hurt and scared and overwhelmed, but that's not an excuse. I damaged your relationship with them, with Malik especially, and I'm sorry. The apology was clean, honest. No qualifications. I forgive you, Naomi said, and she meant it. They stood in her small kitchen, surrounded by memories, and for the first time since she'd come home, the silence between them felt peaceful. Can I ask you something? Ethan said. Yeah. Do you still love me? The question caught her off guard. She could have lied, could have said yes automatically. But they were past lying now. I don't know, she said honestly. I love who you were, who we were together. But we're different people now. And I think we need to figure out who we are separately before we can know if we work together. He nodded slowly. That's fair. Do you still love me? She asked. I don't know either. He smiled sadly. But I respect you, and I see how good you are with the kids. And maybe that's enough for now. Maybe it is. He left shortly after. Naomi spent the evening going through the photos, arranging them in frames, hanging them on her walls. Her past and her present, finally in the same place. 3 months after her return, on a Saturday afternoon, Naomi's apartment was full of noise and life. Malik and 2 friends playing video games in the living room. Jada and her best friend making a fort out of blankets. Caleb building an elaborate dinosaur scene on the floor. Ethan showed up around 2 with takeout. Chinese food, enough for everyone. They ate together, kids and parents, in comfortable chaos. Nobody fought. Nobody cried. Nobody brought up the past. After lunch, Ethan helped Malik with homework while Naomi braided Jada's hair, the same way she used to. Jada sat still, humming softly, comfortable. Mom, she said quietly. Yeah, baby? I'm glad you came home. The words were simple, honest, everything. Me too, Naomi whispered. Me too. When the kids were occupied again, Ethan found Naomi on the small balcony. She was watching the sunset, gold and orange and impossibly beautiful. They're happy, he observed. They are. You're happy. She considered it. I'm getting there, day by day. That's all any of us can do. They stood together in silence, not touching but close. 2 people who had loved each other once, who had 3 children together, who were learning how to coexist in this new reality. Naomi, Ethan said. Yeah? For what it's worth, I think you made the right choice. Coming home, staying close, building this. He gestured toward the apartment, toward the sounds of their children playing inside. Thanks. She looked at him. For giving me the chance, for letting me try. You're their mother. You didn't need my permission. But it helped, having you not fight me, having you support this. He nodded. I'm trying. To be better. To do better. We both are. The sun sank lower, painting everything in shades of gold. Inside, someone laughed, bright and unfiltered and free. I should probably go, Ethan said. Let you have your evening with them. Or you could stay. Watch a movie with us. Be here. He looked surprised. You sure? Yeah, I'm sure. They went back inside together. The kids immediately began arguing about what movie to watch. Naomi refereed while Ethan made popcorn. They ended up watching an animated movie about dinosaurs, Caleb's choice. He sat between Naomi and Ethan on the couch, perfectly content. Jada curled up next to Naomi. Malik sprawled on the floor with pillows. A family, not the family they used to be, but a family nonetheless. When the movie ended, the kids were tired. Ethan gathered them up, started herding them toward the door. Same time tomorrow? Jada asked Naomi. You promised we could make cookies. Same time tomorrow, Naomi confirmed. She walked them out, stood in the doorway as they got into the car. Ethan paused before getting in the driver's seat. This is good, he said. What we're doing here, this co-parenting thing. It is. Maybe we can keep doing it, keep showing up, see where it goes. I'd like that. He smiled, genuine, reaching his eyes. Good night, Naomi. Good night. She watched them drive away, then went back inside. Her apartment was messy, popcorn scattered on the floor, blankets everywhere, dishes in the sink. It was perfect. She cleaned up slowly, putting things in order. Her space, her home, her life, rebuilt one day at a time. Her phone buzzed, a text from Malik. Malik, thanks for today, and for being around. It's not terrible. She smiled, typed back, love you too, kiddo. 3 dots appeared immediately, then disappeared. Then appeared again. Malik, love you. 2 words, small and simple and everything. Naomi sat on her couch, in her apartment, in the life she was building, and let herself feel it. All of it. The pain and the joy and the slow, steady healing. She'd come home to humiliation and rejection, to children who didn't remember her, and a husband who resented her, to a family fractured by years and distance and misunderstanding. But she'd stayed. She'd shown up, day after day after day, and slowly, painfully, beautifully, they were becoming whole again. Not the same. Never the same, but something new, something real. The next morning, Naomi woke early. She made coffee, stood on her balcony watching the neighborhood come to life. Across the small courtyard, she saw Ethan's car pull into the driveway next door. He must have come early to get the kids ready for something. Through the window, she could see movement, her family. Close enough to see, close enough to reach. She wasn't in that house anymore. She might never be again. But she was here, present, part of their story. Her phone rang. Mrs. Brooks. Morning, honey. You up for coffee? Always. Come on over. I made banana bread. Naomi smiled. Be there in 5. She changed into jeans and a sweatshirt, grabbed her keys, and headed out. The morning air was cool and fresh. Birds sang. Somewhere a dog barked. Normal sounds. Everyday sounds. The sounds of home. Mrs. Brooks's kitchen smelled like sugar and vanilla. They sat at the same table where Naomi had cried that first night, where she'd felt most lost. You look good, Mrs. Brooks observed. Rested. I feel good. Naomi meant it. Better than I have in years. The kids are doing well. They are. We all are. It's still hard sometimes, but—" She paused, searching for the right words. "But we're figuring it out. That's all anyone can do." They drank their coffee, ate warm banana bread, talked about small things. The weather, neighborhood gossip, nothing important, everything important. Around 9, Naomi's phone buzzed. Ethan. Ethan. Kids want to know if you're free today. We're thinking zoo? Naomi. I'm in. What time? Ethan. 11? Naomi. Perfect. See you then. She helped Mrs. Brooks clean up, then went back to her apartment to get ready. She looked at herself in the bathroom mirror, older than she remembered, lines around her eyes she didn't recognize, but also familiar. Still herself. She'd survived war. She'd survived deployment. She'd survived coming home to nothing and having to rebuild from scratch. And she was still here, still standing, still fighting for what mattered. At 10:55, she walked over to Ethan's house, her old house, and knocked. Caleb threw open the door. Mom, we're going to see lions. I heard. You ready? I've been ready for an hour. He grabbed her hand, pulled her inside. The house still didn't feel like home, but it felt less foreign now, less painful. Ethan appeared from the kitchen. Hey, kids are almost ready, just need to find Jada's jacket. I'll help look. They found the jacket under Caleb's bed somehow. Got everyone loaded into Ethan's car. Bigger than Naomi's rental, better for all 5 of them. The zoo was crowded but beautiful. Families everywhere. Children squealing with delight at every exhibit. They wandered slowly, letting the kids set the pace. Caleb ran ahead to the dinosaur exhibit. Not real dinosaurs, but statues and fossils. He rattled off facts he'd memorized, barely stopping for breath. Jada wanted to see the butterflies. They walked through the butterfly garden, tiny wings landing on shoulders and hands. She stood very still, letting them come to her. It's beautiful, she breathed. It is, Naomi agreed. Malik wanted to see the big cats. They stood in front of the lion enclosure, watching a massive male sleep in the sun. He looks lazy, Malik observed. He's conserving energy, Naomi said. That's smart, not lazy. He can run up to 50 miles an hour when he needs to. How do you know that? I looked it up. Wanted to sound smart in front of my kid. Malik laughed, surprised and genuine. That's kind of dorky, Mom. I'm kind of dorky. Yeah, you are. But he said it with affection, with something close to warmth. They had lunch at the zoo cafe, overpriced sandwiches that the kids devoured anyway. Naomi sat between Jada and Caleb while Ethan sat with Malik across from them. This is nice, Ethan said. All of us together. It is, Naomi agreed. After lunch, they walked some more, past elephants and giraffes and monkeys swinging from trees. The kids laughed and pointed and ran ahead and came back. Normal kid things. Around 3, they started heading toward the exit. Everyone was tired but happy. In the parking lot, Caleb grabbed Naomi's hand. Can you come home with us? Just for a little while? She looked at Ethan. He nodded. Sure, buddy. For a little while. Back at the house, the kids scattered to their usual activities. Ethan made tea. Naomi sat at the kitchen table, the same table where she'd eaten 1,000 meals before she left. Thank you for today, she said. Thank you for coming. Ethan brought over 2 mugs. The kids needed this. To see us all together. To know that even though we're not... He paused. Even though we're not together, we're still family. We are. They drank their tea in comfortable silence. Outside, birds sang. Inside, their children were safe and loved and home. Naomi, Ethan said quietly. Yeah? I don't know what happens next. With us, I mean. If we try again or just stay like this. But whatever it is, I want you to know I see you. Really see you. Not the person I was angry at. Not the villain I made you into. Just you. The words settled into her chest, warm and real. "I see you too," she said, "and I'm grateful for the second chance, for the space to figure things out. We'll keep figuring it out, together, however that looks." "Together," she agreed. She stayed for another hour, helped Jada with homework, played trucks with Caleb, talked to Malik about soccer practice. When she finally got ready to leave, all three kids hugged her goodbye. Real hugs, not awkward or forced, just natural. "See you tomorrow?" Jada asked. "Tomorrow," Naomi confirmed. "I'll pick you up from school." She walked back to her apartment as the sun started to set. The air was cooling. The sky was turning pink and gold. Inside, she changed into comfortable clothes, made herself dinner, ate slowly, savoring every bite. Her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Unknown. "This is Daniel from the community center. Hope it's okay I'm texting. Wanted to let you know we're starting a support group for military families. Thought you might be interested." She saved his number, typed back, "Thanks. I'll think about it." His response came quickly. "No pressure. Just wanted you to know the options there." She sat on her couch, looking around her apartment, at the photos on the walls, the kids' drawings taped to the refrigerator, the life she was building piece by piece. It wasn't the life she'd left behind. It wasn't the life she'd imagined when she enlisted. But it was hers, hard-earned and real and worth fighting for. Outside her window, the sun finished setting. Stars appeared one by one. The world turned, as it always did, toward tomorrow. Naomi took a deep breath. Let it out slowly. She was home. Finally, truly home. Not because she lived in a certain building or slept in a certain bed, but because she'd shown up. Because she'd stayed. Because she'd fought for her place in her children's lives, even when it would have been easier to walk away. She'd come back to humiliation and rejection, to a family that didn't know how to include her, to a husband who'd rewritten their story with her as the villain. But she hadn't given up. She'd stayed nearby, shown up daily, proven through actions, not words, that she was there to stay. And slowly, painfully, beautifully slowly, they'd found their way back to each other. Not as they were before, but as something new, something honest. She'd learned that strength wasn't just about surviving deployment, it was about surviving homecoming, about rebuilding from nothing, about showing up even when unwelcome, loving even when it wasn't easy, staying even when leaving would hurt less. True healing hadn't come from sacrifice or shrinking herself. It had come from boundaries, from honesty, from giving everyone, including herself, space to feel and process and grow. Her children were learning to love her again. Her husband was learning to see her clearly, and she was learning to forgive herself for the choices she'd made, the years she'd lost, the moments she could never get back. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, more therapy sessions, more awkward conversations, more slow, steady work. But tonight, Naomi Carter sat in her own apartment, surrounded by evidence of her children's love, and felt something she hadn't felt in 4 years. Peace. She was seen, she was home, she was enough. And that was everything. The end.